Knowles on the news. Susan Knowles.
So are you looking forward to the final debate? Now, maybe that's the final debate ever in American history that we will have tonight. Hopefully that's not true. But sometimes it's hard to say, you know? I mean, with the way things are going. I don't know what to expect. You know, we have Chris Wallace this time. Chris Wallace, I don't know. Do you is all your faith in him? Do you think that he's going to be the moderator that is going to be fair? We haven't seen one yet, that in my opinion. So I'm looking for somebody who might get in there and actually be fair and ask fair questions to both sides. But I will say the mainstream media, at least, is billing the debate as, oh, well, I'm sure Donald Trump is going to get questions about groping, and Hillary's going to get questions about her emails. You know, I don't know about you, but let's let the court system handle things such as the accusations of groping against Donald Trump. Again, that right now they're just accusations. If they have something that is legitimate, that is provable, then I say go for it, go to court, settle it, whatever you need to do. I'm not saying that shouldn't prevent Donald Trump from being president. I'm not saying anything about his presidency in regards to that, other than the fact, if you're going to make accusations against somebody, then be able to prove them, move forward, and go on about it. Let's stop talking about it every single second that we have an opportunity to do so, because talk is cheap, as we know. I mean, it's already been said that some of these women who are coming forward and saying he groped me, and you know, there are other people who are saying it absolutely did not happen. I was there, I saw it, nothing happened. Or the one woman who accused him, basically it asked him to come to her restaurant or whatever, supposedly, and when he didn't do that, then here come the accusations. I mean, you don't even know what's true anymore because there's so much garbage that's thrown out there that it's hard to decipher. What you know more of is that Hillary Clinton, what she's done, the emails that have come out, these are from her and her people, Podesta and all those people. But yet we don't hear about them in the mainstream media because why? They're for Hillary Clinton. And the people who are supporting Hillary, they don't care to hear about those things because why? They are for Hillary Clinton. So I don't know, you know, having a debate and just hearing about the same old things over and over is not gonna help anything. I mean, all along I think people have wanted to know, what are you going to do for this country? And we really haven't gotten down to any nitty-gritty details on any of that. Because we're so busy saying, well, Donald Trump groped me. Donald Trump talked on a bus, you know, whatever the case may be. And we're not hearing about, okay, here's my tax plan. Here's what I want to do with immigration. Here's what I want to do with this. I mean, yes, we've heard at different rallies, different things, really no specifics. I haven't heard Hillary say anything. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I just don't like Hillary so much. When she talks, I tune out. If you can tune out when people like that are screeching, for God's sakes. But I would really like to know things like that. And I wonder, you know, here we are. This is, I think today was the 12th WikiLeaks dump of the emails. And does anybody care? I mean, in 12 emails with all of the damning information that comes out, nobody's done anything. Does anybody care? I mean, what does she have to do before the Hillary supporters look at that and go, my God, I can't support this woman, no matter what? I mean, I ask myself, I just don't know, but they seem to want to support her till the bitter end. And I think it goes beyond, you know, the fact that just that she's a woman and they want a woman in there. It's just, they've taken it personally. I don't know about if you've seen this one video. It's just, oh my God. Some artist made this, I don't know, a statue, I guess that you would say, of Hillary, naked Hillary. And these women were going nuts over it. One woman had a headdress on, looked like possibly Muslim, possibly something else. I don't know. I'm not going to say what faith that she claims to be in support of. I have no idea. And this other woman who looked to be a Caucasian woman, I'm not sure. And they were incensed at the fact there was a naked Hillary statue. And they just started pulling the statue down while the artist or some other guy, I think it may have been the artist who created it, is trying to get them to stop. Some other guy is trying to tell them, hey, you can't do that. This doesn't belong to you. You can't destroy artwork like that just because you feel like it. Well, yes, they can, and they did. I mean, the laws, I don't know when we're going to understand this, but the laws that we have today only pertain to those on the right. If you're on the left, you don't have to obey the laws. I mean, that's what it's looking like. I know that's not what it's supposed to be, never the intent, but that's what it looks like, and that's what it's really coming out to be. But these women were like, oh, how can you treat women this way? Well, I don't know about you, but I don't identify with a naked Hillary Clinton statue for my womanhood. I really don't. I don't care what they're doing to a statue or if they've made a statue. I don't care. But these women took it personally. It was as if this guy had made a statue about them or that this guy was doing it directly to them. And they were just, literally taking the statue down. And one woman, the Caucasian-looking woman, actually sat on the stomach of the naked Hillary. As if to say what? I have no idea. But that's kind of where it ended. And I guarantee you, they destroyed this artwork and nothing will happen to them. They're not going to have to pay for it. They're just going to say, okay, why did you do that? You're just inciting people. I can hear it now. And the artist will be made to look like, he's the bad guy. And everybody else will just walk away and go on and do what they were doing, and nobody will care. And the laws, again, won't apply to them. It'll only apply, to the artist who wasn't doing anything wrong. He will be the one who gets accused of being a racist, of being such a bad person, blah, 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 blah. We've seen it all before. And, why? Why does this happen? Why? Because we have an Obama administration and a mainstream media that perpetuates this stuff, that keeps it going. We found out in a WikiLeaks, supposedly, that they were hiring, on the Hillary Clinton side, they were hiring mentally ill people to go out and start trouble at the Donald Trump rallies. And again, did this make headline news? No. Does anybody care? No. Does anybody talk about it? No. And then we find out that the DNC bus is dumping their sewage, if you will, onto the streets. And what do they say? Oh, gosh, we're sorry. Oh, okay. Well, if you're sorry, then that's okay. And nothing will be done about it. Nothing. So I guess, for me, and watching the final debate, I'm not sure that there's going to be anything different or anyone will care no matter what. If they came out at the debate and said, Hillary, we found out that you did X, Y, and Z, and the penalty for this is 500 years in prison, people would go, so? Is that the best that you have? Is that the only thing that you have? What about Donald Trump? Oh my God. It just never stopped. It should tell us something when we have Ecuador, who is willing to pull the internet from from Julian Assange, so he can't put out information on Hillary Clinton. That ought to tell you how corrupt that this woman is and how bad it has gotten. Who else do you know of has an entire country behind them and that will help them do what they do? Now, of course, they're getting something out of it, just like those people most likely who were, wanting to speak to the Secretary of State. And so what did they do in order to get in line a little bit faster? Well, I don't know. Rumor has it that they gave money to the Clinton Foundation. And you can bet that this is a way her White House would be run. And yet nobody wants to talk about that either. Oh, you want to see the president? Well, how much are you willing to pay? Do you know that we have a Clinton Foundation? I think if you want to see the president, and if you really, really are interested in having your issue heard and maybe acted upon, you may want to go donate. I'm just saying they're not connected. I'm just saying as a good person, you may want to go and donate, and then we'll be in touch. I mean, this is where we are. Out and out, blatant, in your face corruption. And we still have people who say, I'm going to vote for Hillary Clinton because she's just wonderful. They can't tell you anything that she's done that is wonderful, but they just know that she's wonderful. She's just so great. This is the woman that Dan Bongino, I've heard him talking about her, and I've heard there was recently an article that came out. How disgusting she treats people on her staff, Secret Service, how she despises the military. And I'd have to believe that some of these Hillary supporters, I guess they just believe these are all out and out lies, because I know not everybody who supports Hillary is just the deepest, darkest progressive left Democrat ever. There've got to be decent people who if they really would look at the truth and believe that this was true, then they would say there's no way I can vote for her. I mean, I don't care if you write in somebody, or you don't have to vote for Donald Trump if you don't want to, if you're a Hillary supporter. But my gosh, how can you look at what this woman has done and continues to do and how she treats people and still want to vote for her? I mean, how many stories? I mean, I know mainstream media doesn't cover it, but my gosh, do you never pick up a piece of paper or flip through an internet at all or anywhere? Just, browsing at anything? I mean, come on. The other day, too, I heard something, and my gosh, this is so typical her. So I don't know, I can't say 100% that this happened, but it makes sense. I don't know if you remember the first quote-unquote town hall meeting that she had. And she was sitting there talking to Matt Lauer. Just love how they make fun of that last name. But anyway, talking to Matt Lauer. And you could see some of the questions that he was asking her. She was getting more and more ticked off. You can see it in her face. You know when it's coming, because she gets this, this darkness kind of falls over her, and her eyes are sort of squinty, and she just gets more intense, and whoa, like all hell's about to break loose. Well, apparently she didn't like the questions that he was asking, and what the reports have said is that she went back behind the stage, got off stage, and it was Trump's turn to talk. And she just lit into everybody that works for her, calling them names, F this, F that. I mean, it was supposedly just the most horrible, disgusting thing that you've ever seen anybody do. And it's like somebody else has pointed out, and it's been in some of the articles I've read, she never allows her staffers or anybody around her to have telephones. So that way she knows that she's not going to be videotaped or recorded. And so this was somebody who was backstage and happened to see all of this and just couldn't believe that what they were seeing. Does it surprise you? Does anybody care? I mean, I actually told a Hillary supporter that, and they're like, oh. You're sitting there and you're talking about Donald Trump and how horrible he is on a bus and what he said on a bus, and your reaction to how Hillary treated her people and the names that she called them is, oh. I mean, you don't know where to go in a conversation, From there, you just like, okay. You just kind of walk away and go, did that mean anything? Okay, all right, it didn't. So I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I mean, it's just amazing that this is where we are and that we can't wake people up. And in 20 days, we're not going to wake people up. If there isn't a WikiLeaks that comes out and says that this is what Hillary did, I can prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, and it is some heinous crime. I mean, it's almost like the person has to have been there with a recording and a camera going that caught all of it on tape for it to mean anything anymore. It's kind of like no matter what anybody else says, no matter what they say they saw, it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, well. So I guess you would have to be there, videotape it, audio tape it, have an expert show that it wasn't photoshopped, and then, only then, if it is a crime that you can prove, or that you can see by looking at it, she actually did do the crime. That's the only way that there may be a chance of people not voting for her. And I just don't think that's going to happen. And then what I heard that the Republicans, we're going to look into all these allegations, but of course we're going to do it after the election. Assuming that here's the thing. If you lose the House or the Senate, these Republicans, how much are they going to feel like, I've got to get my job done. I'm enthusiastic about my job. No, they're going to be like ready to pack up. They're going to be back in their home state. They're not even going to be around. They're not going to care. And so nothing that Hillary did will then ever come to the surface. And every time it comes to the surface, like with Benghazi, it seems like nothing happens to this woman. Nothing. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, if she gets become president, it's okay because she'll just be impeached. Don't count on it. She may not have the protection that Obama had because he was the first African American president. However, she's going to have the protection of the Clinton dynasty that she's always had, which is probably even a stronger protection than Obama has. So if you want to put all of your eggs in one basket and lay all the money down on hoping that she's going to get impeached, I think you're going to be mistaken. I hope you're not. I hope you're right if she gets in. I hope she doesn't get in, but I'm just saying. I hope you're right, but I don't think so. I mean, even Bill Clinton was impeached, but he stayed the president. So what? So what? It doesn't matter. Like, how did we get here in the first place? We all know how we got here. The people voted in Obama twice. Thank you. Thank you for helping us get to this position. And those are the same people, believe it or not, who are going to go out, many of them, and vote for Hillary. Again, I don't understand it, but I guess I don't have to. That's the good thing. I don't have to understand it. I just have to live with the consequences of people voting for Hillary. And for those of you who may want to continue trying to stop those that you know from voting for Hillary, let me just go through what the Washington Times has listed as the top 10 Clinton scandals exposed by WikiLeaks. Number 1, Mrs. Clinton had cozy and improper relationship with the mainstream media. Duh. Number 2, the State Department paid special attention to friends of Bill. Number 3, Mrs. Clinton argued for a hemispheric common market with open trade and open borders. Number 4, the Clinton campaign was in touch with Department of Justice officials regarding the release of her emails. Now there's a shocker. Number 5, the Clinton campaign was tipped off to the release of the Benghazi emails. Mrs. Clinton admitted sometimes her public and private positions differ. Number 7, Mrs. Clinton's spokesman mocked Catholics and evangelicals as severely backwards. Number 8, Mrs. Clinton admitted she has had a hard time relating to the struggles of the middle class. I thought she was a little Southern belle like everybody else and understood. I mean, that's how she talks when she gets on the stage in the South. Number 9, Mrs. Clinton campaign used Benghazi as a distraction from the email scandal. Really? And number 10, the Clinton team strategized on how to delay releasing emails knowing it was against the law. Oh, that was such a shocker. So you see, all 10 of those, nobody cares. Nobody cares. I'm still voting for Hillary. That's what they're going to say. That's what they're going to do. But if you want to go out there and continue to give it a try, be my guest, because I don't see any other way of changing their minds that I've done. And I know a lot of people are beating their heads against the wall, and they don't understand it either. And they don't know what they can do to make a difference. So if you can do it, oh my gosh, by all means, go for it. It's really going to be interesting, though, where we end up, what happens after the next 20 days. And I guess that all of us just need to brace ourselves no matter what. A lot of polls have Clinton ahead by a big margin. I don't believe those polls. I don't believe any of the polls. I really don't. I think they are all just putting out their information that they've been told to put out. And I know that sounds like a conspiracy theory, but if you look at the fact what the mainstream media has done and continues to do, I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think it's pretty much it's the truth of what's going on. A lot of people say that Trump is definitely ahead, and they're just not putting that out there in the mainstream media. I don't know. Honestly, today, I'm not sure who you can believe and who you shouldn't believe. It's so convoluted, so messed up, that it's hard to know anymore what is the truth and what is not. I mean, I've seen so many postings lately on Facebook and Twitter. People who out and out, they know that what they're posting, they have to know. What they're posting is either a hoax or a lie. It's like that whole thing that went around about Glenn Beck. Oh, Glenn Beck got paid by the Clinton Foundation. And all these other people, Bill Kristol, listed there. And it turns out the guy, the liberal guy on the left, made it all up, put it all on his website, but he even admitted it was all a joke because he just wanted to tick off those people on the Trump side. And basically, here's people posting, oh, gosh, this is true. Look at what Glenn Beck did. And, of course, they tell me as if I care what Glenn Beck does. I'm not his protector, as I have told people. I don't care. But I knew it was an out-and-out lie. Just like I knew when they posted Glenn Beck is voting for Hillary Clinton. That was a lie. So, we all get things wrong. But when you see something from a website that you really have never even heard of, or the name doesn't look familiar, you can pretty much assume correctly that what you're reading is either a hoax, a lie, or satire. Okay? So, and then go check it someplace else before you post something like that. And again, we all get it wrong. I've done those things too. And then what I do is if I find out I was wrong, I go back and delete it, or I go back and I say, hey, I got this wrong. Here's the truth, blah, blah, blah. We have to tell the truth. I mean, even if we want to win, we can't win by lying. I mean, you can. If you want to do that, you can. But then you become those people that you despise. And I'm not willing to do that. I'm just not willing to do that. And I will speak out and tell the truth about anyone when I find out a lie has been posted about them or a lie is circulating about them. I don't care who it is. Even if it's Hillary Clinton, if it's a lie and I know it's a lie, I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I wish it were true, but this is a lie. Perfect example. Somebody had posted this picture of a woman grabbing this man's crotch on stage, right? And it went around, see what Hillary Clinton's doing? She's grabbing the crotch of this guy on stage. Well, as it turns out, it was Florence Henderson, probably in a skit. And yet they wanted people to believe that it was Hillary Clinton. It makes you look so bad when you do that. It destroys your any type of credibility that you have in the future. Don't do that. Don't do that. Stop. You wouldn't want somebody to do that about Trump. Don't do that about Hillary or anyone else for that matter. It doesn't serve anybody at all. There's no benefit. Sorry. Had to just get that out because that's been weighing on me. I've seen far too many of those lately. And let me tell you probably what you can expect to see more of in the event Hillary is elected. And if all the things I said before aren't enough, this may be something else that you can just add to the list. I know we can't blame her for it. I'm not trying to blame her for it. But I'm saying I'm thinking you're going to be seeing a little bit more of this. I don't know if you saw this article, but it was an article out of Norman, Oklahoma. And this high school student started recording their teacher, which, I know in California, you wouldn't be allowed to do that. You can't record someone without their permission in California. But in Oklahoma, apparently you can. And in this case, I'm kind of glad that this happened because it caught a teacher on tape basically saying that to be white is to be racist. Let me repeat that. To be white is to be racist, period. That's what the teacher supposedly said. And now the student says the lecture began with a video about the mistreatment of Native Americans that prompted the student to start recording the lesson, and it ended with the teacher's lecture about racism. So apparently, the student was just recording the lecture, and it just happened to catch this on it. Okay, whatever. So in the video, a man pulls out this globe with a bottle of whiteout and marks all over a country or a piece of country and puts his name on it. Get it? White out, marking out all the people in the country with the globe that they were standing there holding and using whiteout. So he was basically, she said, comparing what he had done to the globe to what he did to America. Okay, obviously. Now, when the teacher laid out the theories of racism afterwards, the student said she was stunned. Really? Okay, you're in a public school. Hello, liberal. And I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be surprised, really, if they said something else and said being white isn't being racist. But anyway, the teacher basically said, and I quote, this is apparently what was on the tape, to be white is to be racist, period. Am I racist? I say yeah. I don't want to be. It's not like choose. I guess they left out a word. Somebody did. It's not like I choose to be racist, but do I do things because of the way I was raised? Wow. And you still have your kid in that school? I don't know. It's amazing it's kind of amazing to see how the school handled it, but not really. I mean, basically they're saying, well, racism is an important topic, and we're kind of sorry that it was handled the way it was, really. And but they didn't say how the teacher might be disciplined, or if the teacher would be disciplined, or if the union would allow the teacher to be disciplined, whatever. So, again, I think part of the problem is, regardless of who gets in, but let's say specifically if Hillary gets in, I think you're going to see more than that, more than just that, because she, just like others on the left, they want you to believe that you have white privilege, that white is bad. I've never seen people try to take down a race and denigrate a race like the progressive left does. I mean, nobody does it better than they do. And you can bet that it's going to continue. They're not going to allow, those white people to get away with not feeling bad about themselves or poor about themselves. I mean, this really just gets me. I mean, think about this. If this were ever even almost said about African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, people would be up in arms. And maybe, we've kind of sat back and I think I don't know. I mean, I don't want to speak for all white people, but I think a lot of times we just think, oh, well, pretty soon this will just blow over and everything will be okay, and we'll go on, we'll go back to reason again, and people will stop doing this. Well, I guess it's not going to. It's not just going to blow over. We're going to have to do something. We're going to have to speak out more and more and more each and every day about this, because it's not going to stop. And again, if she gets in, it's absolutely not going to stop. It's what she believes in. And as we all know, she has a public life and a private life. So even if she doesn't believe it, if that's what the social norm of the day is, in her opinion, then that's what she's going to believe. And that's what she's going to come out publicly and say. She's done that before about marriage and gay marriage. I mean, she was totally against it until the tide changed, and then she was totally for it. But that was her public persona. What does her private persona say? Who cares? What she does in public is more damaging, and that's what I care about. So I think, again, it's one of those things we're going to have to just fight harder and make our voices heard, and tell people we're not going to tolerate you talking about our race that way. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that there's been 2 seconds of conversation that put white people or any other race down. I cannot believe that. If it was wrong to talk about minorities in this way, and everybody thinks that whites are the majority, which they really aren't anymore, why are we accepting it? Why then is it okay? And we all know the answer is it isn't. But we just don't speak out enough, and these people just keep doing it. Our fight is not over on this. It's just getting started. Again, if you get her in, and she stays in for 4 years, 8 years, or whatever the case may be, the world that if you thought it was bad in the United States with Obama, you haven't seen anything yet. You haven't seen anything yet. And if you think public schools, if you think Common Core was bad, wait till something, Hillary comes up with. My gosh. And don't forget, it was, Hillary who came up with the Hillary Care that thankfully didn't pass. What's it going to look like if she does get elected? What's Obamacare going to look like? Probably it's going to become Hillary Care, which is, I don't even remember how bad it was, but I know it was bad. I don't know if it was worse than Obamacare. It probably was. But, you can expect that. You can expect that in her health care programs. You can expect worse in public school system. Everything. She doesn't care about you and me. She doesn't even care about children. She's pro-abortion. She has grandchildren. I guess it's okay that they're living and they didn't get aborted. I guess she's okay with that. But, I mean, how much garbage comes out of this woman's mouth, and how much more are we going to have to put up with? And the loss of our freedoms. That's coming. And I know there are people who would say, well, that Donald Trump, well, what about him, because he can do just as bad. Well, you know what? I guess Donald Trump is more of an unknown. I guess people are more willing to put their faith in him. I mean, some have absolute 100% faith. I'm not one of those people. I don't put 100% of my faith in any man or woman. I just don't. My faith is in God, and that's it. But I know and I understand they're wanting to put Trump in. I get it. And they don't know what he's going to do exactly. I mean, we do hear all of the negatives. Some we see, some he does himself. I get it. He's a human being. He makes mistakes too. But he doesn't have, as far as I know, the track record of evil that I've seen coming from the Hillary side. If WikiLeaks has that information, if somebody else has that information, then bring it on, bring it out. But, I haven't seen that. All I've seen are unsubstantiated accusations so far. And some crap on a bus that he shouldn't have been saying. And that's what I've seen so far. It's somehow, for me, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Both are wrong, blah, blah, blah. I get all that. But it isn't on the same level of evil that I've seen from the Hillary camp. It just isn't. And then there was another thing in the news that I read that, gosh, just sent me over the top. I mean, if this week wasn't bad enough with the debate coming up and all the stuff coming out about Hillary, et cetera, then this really did it for me. Remember this name, Terrence M. Cunningham. He's the president of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. Now, he decided, and I guess maybe the whole group decided, the America's largest police management organization on Monday, they decided, and they issued a formal apology to the nation's minority population for the actions of the past and the role that our profession has played in society's historical mistreatment of communities of color. So here we go. We've gone all the way back to the times before we had Miranda rights, when confessions were beaten out of them, okay? And we've gone all the way back to the 60s when cops were bad. And you know what? In every profession there's good and there's bad. But what this has done, basically, has just lumped all cops into a single category. All cops are bad. All cops have mistreated minorities. Now, some people say, no, that's not true, Susan. He's just saying, overall, we've had a negative view about our police forces, and we're just apologizing, and there's no big deal. Well, I think it's a big deal. Now, this guy's from Massachusetts, and he was speaking in San Diego at the convention center, I guess, at the International Association of Chiefs of Police. And membership includes 23,000 police officials in the United States. So 23,000 people got together and said, we're going to make this statement for everybody. He went on to say, events over the past several years have caused many to question the actions of our officers and has tragically undermined the trust that the public must and should have in their police departments. The history of the law enforcement profession is replete with examples of bravery, self-sacrifice, and service to the community. At its core, policing is a noble profession. Okay, so why didn't you start with that? Why didn't you start with that? No, you had to basically say all cops are bad. We're so sorry. Really? I mean, I don't know how anybody could allow this guy to speak for them and have, as a police officer, you go back on the street now, and what's going to happen to you? It's going to be like our military. They're going to be made more targets because of the fact that somebody spoke down about them and convinced people on the left, I guess that's true then. I guess that they have been bad to minorities, and they are exactly who we said they are. Even though many, if not most, like especially the cases in Baltimore, dismissed because there was no wrongdoing. But all of a sudden, we have to make this statement, and we have to apologize for all police officers. The police officers that were dead, that have been killed by people, those weren't there to voice their opinion. I just want to bring that out for you. So he didn't really care about those people. Those police officers who, let's see, in New York were sitting in their car and were shot and killed because police, you see, are so bad that they have to be shot and killed while they're sitting there in their car minding their own business. Right, Mr. Cunningham? Officer Cunningham? Those are the people that you talk down about. Those are the people that you included in your talking and you didn't give 2 seconds of thought about. Shame on you. Shame on you. For all the police officers out there who try their darndest, and if it weren't on radio, there'd be worse words, but they try their darndest to do their job and put their lives on the line, and then you come out and say crap like that. How about those police people out here in Riverside, those 2 police officers who went to a domestic violence call, came up to the door, now they're both dead. One woman who just had a baby 4 months ago. Is she one of those people that you need to apologize for her behavior? I don't think so. So ridiculous. You've just made the jobs of the police officers 1,000 times worse, and you've put their lives in jeopardy for saying such a stupid statement. It's okay to come out and say, geez, We want to make sure that our relationship with minorities and everyone else is where it should be. And we're going to work harder to be the people that you want us to be, or that not that you want us to be, that you expect us to be. That we should be trustworthy. And I feel that we are. But we need to talk to you more. We need to be in your communities more, and we need to listen more. Okay, I can understand if you want to say stuff like that. But stop apologizing and saying that, oh my gosh, we've let the minorities down. We've been bad. That's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You have no right speaking for that many police officers in the United States. You're a handful as compared to the rest of the police officers. You know, it makes you wonder if this guy is so liberal and so on the left with and kind of in lockstep, if you will, with Obama and the DOJ. You know, those people that want to federalize the police and that come out and apologize, even when they find no wrongdoing. That a police officer, no wrongdoing that a police officer committed, they still have to find wrongdoing somewhere. Oh my gosh, you could do better for minorities. And I'm not saying that every policeman, policewoman, I'm not saying they're all innocent. As I said, there are people in this world in every profession, good, bad, and otherwise. And you're going to find that in police officers as well. But to come out and make a blanket statement for all the cops across the United States, it leads me to think that you believe in federalizing the police department. Now, I don't have any proof of that. I'm just saying that's my feeling. Because it sounds like you're just too much in lockstep with the Obama administration. And, you don't have to be out there on the street every day. You're sitting there in your office, in some nice cushy office probably, making statements like this that jeopardize other police officers who do have to be out there on the streets, who are walking around and in those communities. Have you been out there on the streets? Do you know what it's like in some of those communities? I know this is different, but let me just say at one point in my life, when I was just out of the police academy, I went to work just as a volunteer with the Humane Society because I love animals. Anybody who knows me knows I love animals. And I had to go with one of the officers out on an abuse call of a dog down into a minority community. Not going to tell you where, but trust me, it was a minority community. I don't know if any white people live there. Don't know if any black people live there. I don't know who lived there, but I know it was a minority community. Okay? So these two white people, get into a Humane Society truck, a vehicle, and we go down there. Because, again, we're trying to save a dog that we have heard is being abused. And we pull up. And I'm telling you immediately, and I'm not even saying almost, immediately. And I think this reaction happened, honestly, because they looked at our vehicle and it looked close enough to being a police, the San Diego Police Department vehicle. I think that's who they thought it really was. And we pull up, and these people, and I'm not even going to tell you what minority race they were from, but these people come up. And I mean this, they literally sit and lean up against our vehicle. We could barely get out of the car or out of our truck because of it. They were showing us, we don't want you here. Get out of our neighborhood. We understood that, but we had a job to do. And you can't tell me that when a police officer goes into a minority neighborhood, or any neighborhood for that matter, that they're not met sometimes with that same type of reaction. They haven't done anything wrong, but that's the reaction that they get. What are they supposed to do? What were we supposed to do? Get back in our vehicle and leave and let the dog be abused? Well, no. You have to do your job. It's not easy. And I don't care what neighborhood that you're in as a police officer, there are going to be people who like you and people who don't like you. It's just the way it is. And it doesn't always mean that you've done something wrong to them as a police officer. Sometimes, generational racism and has come down and been passed on from family member to family member. From something that somebody experienced back in the 60s, for example. They can pass on to their children and grandchildren and say, this is the way cops are. And maybe cops aren't like that anymore, but the kids who hear this constantly, will believe their parents and their grandparents that this is the way police officers are. So you have to take some of that into account. But I don't think he did. I think he just lumped everybody in together. All cops are bad. Oh, we know we are, and we got to do better with minorities. Well, no. I think overall, cops have to be cops and treat everybody equally. That's what I think. Whether you're a minority, whether you're not a minority, you need to be treated fairly respectfully by police officers. And I think for the most part, for most police officers out there, they do that. They do a great job and they treat people with respect. They really do. But I'll tell you, in some of the videos that I've seen, if you're going to, when a police officer comes up and asks you to do something, and you're going to start fighting them or telling them that you're not a member of the human race or of this universe, and you can do what you want, well, you're not going to be treated like you expected. You're going to be probably dragged out of a car and handcuffed. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. And you may be sitting there going, well, I didn't do anything. Well, yeah, you did. You disobeyed a direct order, if you will, from a police officer. And you might be saying, well, I don't have to obey anybody's orders. Well, okay. Well, why don't you trade places for one day and see how dangerous it is to come up upon somebody like you when you don't know what you are going to do because you're sitting there resisting everything that somebody says, where a conversation could be over in 5 minutes if you would just do what you were asked to do. People seem to forget those things. People think that, police officers somehow, bullets don't penetrate their bodies. Well, they do. And they have to be careful. And they want to see your hands. They want to know what you're holding in your hand. They want to know if you're going to try to kill them or not. They want to be able to see all that. And you know what? Why wouldn't you do that? And if you have a complaint about some way that you were treated, be alive, be well, and then go file your complaint. But in the meantime, do what you're asked to do. It's that simple. It is that simple. And again, I'm not saying that things don't happen to people and people get killed by cops and the cops are wrong. It does happen. But I don't think police officers in general go out every day, get in their cars and go, let's see how many minorities we can kill today. I just don't think that happens. I really don't. I mean, what about all of the stories of people who go out and buy the homeless people, minority homeless people, or white people, whoever the homeless people are, sitting on the side of the street? Cops go out and they buy them food. They go out and they buy them clothing and all that. What about those people? What about the cop in San Diego who went into McDonald's and saw this little African-American boy who wanted, I think it was a cookie. And he didn't have enough money. So the police officer buys him the cookie. And about 10 minutes later, somebody shoots and kills the police officer, and nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. There has a memorial up for him, and I think people have even vandalized that memorial. Shame on you. We don't tell anybody those stories. Or there's a guy that I follow on Facebook. He's a black police officer in Dallas. He's always going out there and doing kind things for white homeless people, African-American homeless people, Asian, whoever. It doesn't care. He doesn't look at skin color, all right? He just goes out there and he does his job, and he looks like, and from all that I've seen, he's a great guy. We don't talk about him. All we can do is go out and apologize, a blanket statement for things that most cops wouldn't even think about doing. And that, obviously, if you can tell by the way I'm talking, upsets me. It really does. When are we going to stop all of this garbage about police officers? When are we going to stop all of this garbage about all whites are racist? All we do is try to, in this society these days, most people on the left, all they try to do is make people fight other people, fight the other side. Just keep people so mad at each other and apologize for things that they shouldn't apologize for. And why is that? Because, again, if they can keep you so wrapped up in the garbage or if they can keep you in such a chaotic state and fighting against everybody else, then you're not going to pay attention to what they're doing. You're not going to see how evil they are in a lot of respects. You're not going to see the danger they're putting us in a lot of respects. You're not going to see any of that. You're not going to know that John Kerry helped arrange that with Ecuador, right? You're not going to know that because you're too busy fighting or hearing people apologize at how horrible police officers are to minorities. And why don't you go out and talk to the majority of minorities and say, is this true? Is this the way you feel? It doesn't mean it's true. It could be just their perception, or it could be true. Really. But when you take the word of who, where did he get that from? What does he base that upon? Was that his own little revelation that he woke up one day and decided, oh, well, this is the way I feel, so by gosh, it must be right. Come on, stop it. Stop it. And people, again, need to continue to speak out about this guy and tell him, sit down, shut up, or hire, get rid of him. He's probably elected into that position. Get rid of him and get somebody else that has the ideologies of what is really the truth. And let's not lose what really is the truth out there. You hear this stuff over and over, and people start to believe it. Oh, well, maybe all cops are bad. Well, look at that. The chief, he apologized for everybody, and he's the head of that international group. We really do have to make sure that we are telling the truth the best that we can each and every day. We also have to make sure that when something like this comes out, that we speak out against it. And we call BS on it because we know it's not the truth. You can't just make blanket statements about police officers. You can't make blanket statements about minorities. You can't make blanket statements about Caucasians or whites. It's not true. The life does not work like that. Let's not forget how life really works, how reality really works. Let's not forget that, okay? Because if we do, if we stop realizing what's true, what isn't true, and how things really work, if we forget all of those, we're going to be lost in the crowd of people who believe everything that they're fed. And we're not those people. And I don't intend to be one of them. I don't intend to become one of them. And even if Hillary gets in, our freedom of speech is going to be pretty much, over, especially for people on radio, TV, printing articles, things of that nature. I don't think she's going to stop at anything to make that happen. And so there will be less voices of us who are freely allowed to speak out. So, you know what? Speak out now. You'll have to speak out then. You'll just have to find different ways. You really will. And that's okay, because we need to just keep doing what we know is the right thing to do and not to be swayed by what we see happening around us. We have so much that we have to speak out about. We have so much that just continues to turn this country darker and darker. One of them was, here's another one, an after-school Satan club, okay? That could be coming to your child's grade school. And don't believe that it might not happen in your neighborhood. These people believe that they're a religion. They believe in their religion, and they feel that they have just as much right as everybody else. So, we're going to have to continue to guard our children, which is something I think that, for the longest time we've kind of just given them over in a lot of respects to the schools to raise and let them hear what they hear and thinking, oh, well, gosh, how bad could it be? Well, I don't know about you, but if I had a kid, my kid wouldn't be going to that after-school Satan club. I can tell you that. We've taken God out of everything, and we're putting Satan into everything. I won't say everything, but a lot of things. And it's becoming darker and darker, and we can't continue to allow this stuff to happen and just hope that somehow it's going to go away. It's not that easy. You just have to keep. And I know a lot of you I know are saying, "Gosh, I'm so tired of fighting. I don't want to fight any longer. I don't even care anymore." Well, you may not care, but you have children and you have grandchildren that you have to care for them because we've kind of put them in that position, right? And you have to do something to help them out. I hear people all the time who say, "Well, what's going to save us are the millennials." And that the millennials, they don't like to hear all the bad stuff, but they know, that God is what's missing in their lives. Well, I totally disagree with everything there, and I'll tell you why. First of all, for many of the millennials, they weren't taught about God because it was something we were told. No, don't teach your children about anything. Just let them figure it out on their own. I mean, that's kind of sarcastic in a way, but in a way, that's what we did. And so we allowed them to make all the decisions in the world, and we didn't take them to church for the most part. So how were they supposed to learn about God if we didn't teach them about God, right? And so the only thing that many millennials were taught is that you can have whatever you want when you want it, and I'll give it to you because you're just that cute little darling that deserves it. So you didn't have to earn what it was that you were getting. And that's not all millennials. I'm just saying, kind of in general. I know it's a bad thing to do, but in general. And so they've never learned how to stand on their own 2 feet. And they've only really, in a lot of respects, been given the good things to hear. Like, everything is all great because I can provide for you and you don't have to worry about anything, sweetie. So, everything's great. And then they look around and they go, whoa, wait a minute. Not everything's so great. Look at all this over here. You didn't tell me about this. Oh, I know, because I was trying to protect you from that. So how are they going to know about God? Again, if you didn't take them to church, you didn't read the Bible to them, and you didn't tell them about God, how are they going to know? And if you only tell them the good, isn't that like the grace-based churches that only tell you about the good stuff in the Bible, the happy times in the Bible, and none of the quote-unquote bad times or the bad things in the Bible? That's not teaching you the Bible. That's not teaching you about God when you only learn, let's say, the New Testament. You never hear about the Old Testament or, whatever the case may be. You got to read the whole Bible. And as a millennial, you got to know the whole thing. You may not like what you're hearing because you've never heard it before, or you weren't taught it, but you've got to learn it. You've got to know what you don't know in order to know what to learn what you don't know, right? I mean, seriously, you got to know about the past. You've got to listen to what your parents and grandparents say, even if you don't agree with them. You have to listen to their experience if you want to learn. And that's the only way that you know that you don't know something. But if you go out there thinking you know everything, and you don't need to listen to those people who are more experienced than you and have more knowledge, then you're not living in reality. It's not the reality. And if you can make the reality better, if you can make the world better, after that, go for it. If you can make the world better without knowing all of that, I'm doubtful. I mean, maybe you think that you can, but I doubt very seriously you can. And that's true for any of us. We have to listen, and we have to learn about the past. You can't go forward unless you can go forward. You just can't go forward equipped with information, the information that you need in order to do better. You just can't, you can't be 20 years old and thinking that you know everything and how to change the world. Now, sometimes that might work. Not for everybody and not the majority of people. So I'm not looking for the millennials to save us. I'm looking for all of us, including the millennials, to work together and trying to make this a better country. And we all have assets that we can bring forward. We all have our own gifts that we can bring forward and we can include into whatever we need to do in order to make this a better world. So that's the key. Working together, learning from our mistakes, and moving forward. Not thinking we know it all, not thinking we don't have to listen to other people, but working together. And I think if we do that, will make this a better world and a better country for all of us, regardless of who gets in, regardless of what people say. The key is working together, not fighting against each other, not fighting over the election, not fighting over petty things, whatever the case may be. Let's work together for the common good, and not in a socialist type of way, but in the American way that we all know and love, and we used to know really well. We have our work cut out for us. I want to thank you so much again for being here. I'm so glad to hear from you. Keep sending me your comments, and until next time, it's Susan Knowles with Knowles on the News.